Hello guys and welcome to my new video and happy new year to all of you. And today we're going to start off with something a little bit different, a possible video series, and I want to know your opinions about this in the comments below if you want to see something like this, a week-to-week kind of comparison where every week I'm going to be leveling or gearing a new healer. I'm going to be playing Mythic Plus, I'm going to be playing raids, and I'm going to be comparing the good and positives of that healer. I've basically been doing that since the launch of Dragonflight Season 3, and right now I have 4 healers that are geared, and I still have quite a few left to go. But guys, let me know if you like the concept, if you like to see any more of this. Let's go and get started. For the people who don't know, I have 4 healers that are somewhat geared. I am maining a Holy Paladin, mainly specifically for raid reasons and the guild reasons, because the guild asked me to play Holy Paladin, and there are multiple reasons to bring a Holy Paladin in Mythic raiding. We very recently killed Mythic Tindral, and I can tell you right now, Mythic Tindral is it's some boss. It is very difficult, so many one-shot abilities or abilities that are going to destroy the raid and things like that. It's been a big leap in difficulty compared to something like Smolder on going into Mythic Tindral. But we killed Mythic Tindral, we're going to Farak and things like that, and I'm still playing Holy Paladin because the guild needs a Holy Paladin and I can see why they need it. Is Holy Paladin my favorite healer? It's not. It really isn't. I think a lot of people who are playing Holy Paladin right now, who played Holy Paladin before, ever since patch 10.15 in terms of the rework, they probably can see a somewhat of a downgrade in gameplay. Now, this is my personal opinion. This is completely subjective. You're more than welcome to disagree with this, but Holy Paladin numbers are more than good enough in a lot of, again, if you're looking at Mythic raiding, they're doing really well, or at least, again, you want to have auras. Holy Paladin still provides a lot of things that a lot of other healers don't have, damage reduction and things like that, so they're still playing a big important part in that Mythic raiding, and in Mythic Plus, they're okay, they've definitely fallen off. There's definitely been a different meta emerging, but for a lot of Holy Paladin players, including myself, I've seen a downgrade in gameplay in terms of multiple different things that I just don't really like. I don't really like the mana cost. Again, a lot of healers have mana issues. I don't like the low power of holy power spells. I don't really enjoy the hard casting that's made an appearance in Season 3, but these are a lot of subjective opinions that you're more than free to agree or disagree with. I think Holy Paladin could definitely use some improvements in terms of gameplay. Like I talked about, the numbers are good or okay-ish right now, and I think Blizzard is a little bit scared about what happened in Season 2 in terms of Holy Paladin being the one and only healer that was used for a lot of Mythic Plus content and things like that, and I don't think Holy Paladin is on the radar. I'm not really enjoying Holy Paladin as much as I should, but playing it for raid or raid progression, it's not really bothering me that much, and I think Blizzard will approach or will address some of the issues in the future. But besides that, I have multiple other healers that are geared or somewhat geared. I've been playing a lot. Mistweaver Monk, for example, I've been playing a lot. I actually really considered maining Mistweaver Monk at the very start of Season 3, and I didn't because we already had a Mistweaver Monk, or my guild needed a Holy Paladin already. Monk was on my radar. I generally believe if you look at all forms of content, for me, in terms of Mythic Plus and raids, I think Monk is probably at the top in terms of my enjoyment. I think Monk provides, again, the Mythic Plus gameplay is arguably one of the most fun gameplays that I've had so far or experienced in terms of Phalanx Stomp and Ancient Teachings. I still hope, I clench to the hope that Blizzard will increase your melee range when playing that Phalanx Stomp or Ancient Teachings build in Mythic Plus in order to make it a bit more approachable and a bit easier for situations when you can't be in melee 24/7, because if you do play that build as a Mistweaver Monk, you are really healing through your, damage, and it is one of those melee healers, true melee healers, because if you're playing a Holy Paladin right now, you're not all that punished by stepping out of melee, depending on which build you're playing and things like that. But Monk has been really fun in Mythic Plus. In raids, it's a completely different gameplay. In raids, you can have, it almost feels like 2 different classes or specs, depending if you're doing Mythic Plus or raids, and I think that's kind of fun because it provides variety. If I could only play one healer, having multiple different builds that are viable for most forms of content, it's kind of interesting. I do think there's quite a few people who do find that raid build a little bit more boring, but again, it's depending on taste. I do think Mistweaver Monk is also really good in terms of meta perceptions, I think. And it's kind of weird for me to say, but I think Monk is really good right now in Season 3. If you look at some of the high-end Mythic raiding fights, Mistweaver is really pumping, not only in terms of HPS, but what it provides in terms of, again, Mythic Farak is going to be one of those fights where you have to deal with multiple adds that you need to heal, and there's going to be a big add that you need to heal, and Mistweaver Monk is really great at that. So there's multiple good things about Monk when you take the grand scheme of all content or PvE content in World of Warcraft. There's Mythic Plus and raids, and I think Monk has been doing really well, and it's really fun. Unfortunately for me, Monk has been very, very unlucky. I've been filling up the vault for Monk every single week, and honestly, for the last 4 weeks, I've gotten sockets. I haven't gotten a single upgrade from the last 4 vaults, and I think that has to be some sort of record or something, because that is just insane. Mistweaver is not my main. I don't do mythic raids with it. I can't bring it to mythic raids with my guild, so there's a lot of pieces I can upgrade, and the vaults that I've been getting in the last 4 weeks have been atrocious. Maybe that's a sign that Blizzard doesn't want me to play Monk, but it's been a little bit discouraging considering there's so many pieces of gear that I can upgrade. But Monk so far has been very fun. So I talked about the Monk in terms of grand scheme of things, in terms of Mythic Plus and raids being very fun, but if I were to talk about a healer that I enjoy the most in something like just Mythic Plus content, and I always kind of keep coming back to, and that is going to be Restoration Druid in Season 3. Honestly, I've been having so much fun. I've always come back to Druid for, I don't know how to explain this, but I just always kind of come back to Druid in terms of, hey, let's do a Mythic Plus dungeon or something, because I really like that min-max aspect of doing feral damage, of providing healing. And again, last week was Afflicted, so you had to deal with Afflicted, you had Raging. So you have to dispel, you have to use Soothe, you have to, if you want to optimize your damage, you're going to feral, apply bleeds, then you kind of optimize your healing. And on top of that, Resto Druids are running a bunch of haste. So a lot of people have said this to me, and I kind of agree where they're coming from to some extent, is that it can feel a little bit too much in terms of how many buttons you're pressing at the speed that you're pressing. And I can see where a lot of people are coming from, because it can feel really overwhelming to play Resto Druid in Mythic Plus content if you want to min-max every single aspect of this healer. If you're just someone who just wants to get that weekly key done and you just press Moonfire, Sunfire in order to provide damage, and then you just go back to healing, you know, you use a Grove Guardian, that's fine. That doesn't feel overly complicated or overly taxing on your fingers and stuff, carpet tunnel or whatever. But if you really want to min-max with feral damage in order to optimize, again, you have to remember, if you go into your kitty and you apply bleeds, you're not really going to be dealing or healing through your damage. That it's not like a Mistweaver Monk or Discipline Priest. You have to be aware of the fact that, hey, I'm going to commit my Heart of the Wild right now. There's nothing happening to the group. I'm going to do my damage. I'm going to break like 150k damage on a single target. And again, these are some of the numbers you can see depending on which trinkets you're using. So you can really pump your damage, but you need to be aware of the fact that, is there going to be damage taken to the group? Are you going to focus on them? Because if you do, you might have to step out, you might have to provide additional healing. But overall, this kind of min-maxing the Druids have gone into in Season 3, and that's partly to do with the fact that feral damage, or Resto Druid feral damage, was increased significantly before the patch launched, and then it was nerfed a little bit. And I really like feral. I really like going into different, or shape-shifting. I like going to kitty form, applying bleeds, going out, applying Moonfire, Sunfire, whatever, then going into healing. Grove Guardians work so well in Mythic Plus content. It is insane. The tier set plus Grove Guardians makes or carries Resto Druid in terms of the pure healing that it provides in that Mythic Plus. Now in raids, I'm not having the same amount of fun that I have in Mythic Plus. Resto Druid in raids is a different story. A lot of people are complaining about the fact that, you know, Flourish has been over-nerfed. You don't have the same ramps they used to have before. It just feels a lot different. It feels, to a lot of people, they might say it feels worse than before. In raids specifically. And I probably would tend to agree to some extent, but I'm not playing Resto Druid for raids. I just do raids as Resto Druid in order to get gear, in order to do Mythic Plus, because in Mythic Plus, Resto Druid for me is probably the most fun healer right now, because I gravitate towards that shape-shifting, I gravitate towards healers that can provide strong damage and has this min-maxing. There's probably a lot of people who are watching this video and they're like, skill ceiling for Resto Druid, I just press Moonfire, Sunfire, and again, my Grove Guardians do so much healing in Mythic Plus, I don't really have to do anything. It's really easy to play. And I kind of agree, but if you really want to go down the rabbit hole of improving your damage in terms of feral and things like that, you can really lose yourself in terms of trying to min-max all of these aspects. It can almost feel like you're playing two different classes or specs when playing Resto Druid and trying to min-max everything. On top of that, one of my goals every single week has been to get that Suncaller trinket from Tindral, and honestly that trinket can provide so much damage. I've been doing Tindral every single week. It hasn't dropped yet, but if you manage to pick up this trinket, or if you do Tindral as a Druid or almost any healer out there who wants to flex their DPS muscles, trying to pick up Suncaller is going to be absolutely insane. But overall, in terms of my Mythic Plus enjoyment, honestly the most fun healer for me has been Restoration Druid, because you can again, lose yourself in that min-maxing of providing damage or providing healing, and you're going to be pressing a lot of buttons. We talked about, again, Resto Druids have high haste, they really like haste and things like that, but Druid has been so fun. And in terms of the grand scheme of things of raids and Mythic Plus content, I think Mistweaver has been really fun. But let's talk about the last healer that I've been gearing and playing the last couple of weeks, and that is Restoration Shaman. So I only very recently tried to gear up my Restoration Shaman. It's something around 473 or something item level, so it's not really too high. And honestly, I just got my 4 set and things like that, and then they also buffed Healing Stream Totem. So I've been running a bunch of keys and dungeons and raids and things like that, experimenting with Healing Stream Totem versus Cloudburst Totem and things like that. Honestly, trying to get into some of the groups has been a little bit hard because I don't really have a lot of score in terms of Mythic Plus. I don't have a huge gear, and I'm also playing Resto Shaman. A lot of people actually feel like Resto Shaman is not a good healer at all. It doesn't have a good community perception, and to some extent, if you're doing really high keys, again, I'm just doing that weekly keys. So in terms of 18s, 19s, 20s, whatever key I can get invited to, that's all I want right now until I get better gear, until I improve my item level and things like that, until I get better trinkets. So just doing those weekly keys has been honestly insanely good and fun as Restoration Shaman, because it honestly feels like the healer that can carry your groups the most, especially in this Afflicted week. With Afflicted week, I've been using my Poison Cleansing Totem. It's not uncommon for me to finish a dungeon with like 60 plus dispels. That's fine. I can handle Afflicted. I can handle certain interrupts because I have one of the best healer interrupts or interrupts in game. I can use Stone Totem, Bloodlust, all of those things. And honestly, doing these weekly keys, it just feels like a lot of the group success is in my hands. And I really gravitate towards it. And a lot of people might be like, what? There's no way. The output is not all that great. Believe me, the output of Resto Shaman is not as bad as people say. You can do good healing, you can do good damage. I'm not sure what it's like when you hit like really high keys, 27s, 28s, 29s, things like that. I'm not sure. I'm just talking about that weekly key level, which is the key level that I'm doing on my scuffed Restoration Shaman. But believe me, I can carry keys in that weekly range more than any other healer because of the toolkit that Resto Shaman has. And I've been really enjoying it. On top of that, I've been playing that chill Healing Stream Totem build. Again, I'm pretty sure at higher key level, people are still gravitating towards Cloudburst. I'm not 100% sure, but at this scuffed weekly key level, I press my Healing Stream Totem. It's going to heal in the background, press and forget, and then I go back to DPSing. And it's been working out so far. Keep in mind, this is not an advertisement for Resto Shaman being an absolute meta healer or something like that. There's a lot of issues the Resto Shaman has that should be addressed in my opinion. I genuinely believe that tier set is not all that amazing depending on which content you're doing. I think that could be improved. I think Shamans in general could use a raid buff, something similar to something like Mark of the Wild or Fortitude or something along those lines, but I don't think those things are going to happen in this expansion. So I'm not sure if Resto Shaman is all of a sudden going to be meta healer with some changes. Again, tinfoil theories. I'm not sure what Blizzard is going to do in the next weeks. Is there going to be more balancing? But I think in that weekly range, Resto Shaman is really fun. I think the debate between Cloudburst Totem and Healing Stream Totem is really fun as well. I think there's going to be different situations where you would use Cloudburst, where you would use Healing Stream Totem, depending on how high of a key you're doing or raid and things like that. It's fun to change up things once in a while, and I've been having a surprising amount of fun on Resto Shaman. Would I say it's the most fun healer right now? Probably not, but I would definitely say that it has a lot more carry potential than people imagine. In terms of the summary of the video, out of the 4 healers that I've been gearing up, again, there is a decent item level disparity. Like, for example, my Holy Paladin has something like 486 item level and my Resto Shaman is like 473. So there's a lot of item level disparity. There's still certain power spikes to be gained, but overall the healer out of those 4 that I've been having the most fun in something like Mythic Plus content only, it's Restoration Druid. Resto Druid, the min-max nature, the skill ceiling for Resto Druid is extremely high in my opinion when it comes to Mythic Plus if you're willing to go down the rabbit hole of min-maxing your damage, min-maxing your healing and all those things. It might not be for everyone. For me, Resto Druid has been really fun in Mythic Plus and I always come back to Resto Druid. I don't know why, but it's just so fun for me. And in terms of the grand scheme of things of all content, in terms of raids and Mythic Plus, I think Mistweaver right now, this is Mistweaver Monk season because they're doing so well in all forms of content. They provide 2 different gameplays which can be really fun. If you're someone who only has time to play one healer, you can play Mistweaver Monk and you can be like, I'm playing that Feline Stomp, that, you know, Ancient Teachings build in Mythic Plus, and in raids I'm playing that Yulon Clouded Focus build, and they can feel very different. They can provide hours and hours of entertainment. So these are the healers I'm enjoying the most right now, but I still have a lot of other healers to gear up and experience. Right now, I'm trying out or gearing my priest. Let me know, should I try out Holy Priest? Should I try out Discipline Priest? Let me know if you like this video series. Is my opinion going to change when I'm going to be playing Disc? Maybe Disc is something that I'm going to gravitate to a lot, and that's going to become my favorite healer. Let me know if you want me to continue this series. Let me know which healer is your favorite right now, and if you agree with my subjective opinions. These are just my subjective opinions, and I'll see you in my next video. And also, Happy New Year, and I'll see you next time.